interesting to see all the different perspectives when they come together on this issue of climate change. So thanks to Hannah and Sophia. My name is Alejandro Velasquez, and I would like to introduce our next innovative idea from two students from Sandia Prep, AJ Beach and Miles Firkins, who are going to enlighten us on the idea of community.
So, hello, I'm AJ Beach, and I'm here to talk about my experience in Ghana. And that's me with my deaf friend. And really, within my 9 minutes talking here, I'm not going to show my experience with community. I'm not going to tell you what it was like for me to actually be in Ghana and to have that sense of really being there and having that experience with those tribe masters or being with those two kids, or really understanding these deaf kids and how they sort of live. In 7 minutes, I'm not going to be able to show you my experience, really. And I think that's something important to say. But really, as humans, we like to categorize others based on their, based on their traits, based on certain similarities we see within people, whether if they're Americans, the way, we call ourselves Americans, or whether a Ghanaian, or whether if it's, if you're looking at black and whites, but people aren't so black and white. We're individuals. We're just truly individuals. And when you really look at someone, they have a certain smell about them. They have a certain look within their face, the way their nose is shaped, the way their lips are, mine are chapped, and the way the way they express their ideas. And that's what really makes an individual, but it's all these little details, but really, what makes an individual? And I think the community has a huge part in really developing an individual and who they are, and really that what we see and the way we act within community sort of adds on to our perspective of the world, and who we are as people is what we perceive, and that's, who we are as people. But anyways, about community. I was, at Five Guys, and this is after Ghana, and I was, eating there. It's a place right along Paseo, and I was there, and it really hit me. I was like, God, there's just no soul in this place. It's so geometric, and, I was eating alone, and there was two people just kind of talking with themselves, and it was really quiet, and I just felt like alone, really. If I was in Ghana, someone would come up to me and like, hey, why are you alone? They would just like, what are you doing, And really, I just felt almost alone here. And, when I was in Ghana, I went to this place called Big Millie's. And I met this man there. He was a Rastafarian, and I'll never forget him, really, but it was just easy to talk to him. We came up to each other and we were just talking. He was telling me about his ideas of love and compassion and how he was just, Rastafarian, his beliefs and stuff. And it was so interesting, and really it took no energy to talk to him. There was no energy required. And, he told me about, I just sort of looked at this guy, and he lived on a shack on the beach, really. And he was, had all these things, and I bought a lot from him and stuff. But really what he was doing is that he was interesting, because most Ghanaians stay in Ghana, and they have this romantic ideas about going to the U.S. and such. But really, this guy, he lived in Europe for a little while with his parents, and he got to experience that. And most Ghanaians don't, but he came back to his roots. He came back to Ghana, and he decided to live there. And he was poor, had really not that much money. He had 4 jobs trying to support his 4 kids. And not only that, he came back so he can help his community, so he could come back and remove this rock from their community with, I don't really know why, but he was trying to remove this so he could help his community. And he was trying to build a school where they were teaching about STDs, and they were teaching about, drugs, and they were teaching about, he just showed me this list of stuff he was trying to teach them everything. It was all about community. He came back to help them. And, really here we're very individual. We'll go to middle school, high school, college, we'll get our job, and it's sort of just about us. But, he came back to his responsibilities, what he felt like his responsibilities were, and that was to go back to his family, really. And when I'm here and I walk down the street and, I'm a photographer, I took these pictures and, I have to go out and ask people. It takes energy to talk to people here, that it requires something to really communicate with people here, and it's difficult, really. You just don't reach out, really, and that really it just requires energy. And over there, it doesn't. It's easy for me. That kid came right up to me, the one on the left, the down part, and he came up to me and just held my hand. And I held his hand the whole time. I couldn't talk to him. He was deaf. But there was a connection between us, and it was so easy for him, and for individuals here, it is this idea of that here's me world, and the communities, and, it's kind of goes out. But over there, it's the community in, it's about the community and then your place within that, really. And that, it's just interesting that we're sort of like that. And, even children over there, that there's children who will, they grow up, and they grow up in these agriculture societies. I mean, the most part of Ghanaians are really poor. They're really poor people. And the thing is these kids will, I went to this one family, and this guy, he had 4 wives, he was a Muslim, and he had 50 kids, The thing is all those kids were there to build and help their family. They were always with their family. Sometimes they weren't really in school, but they're always there helping their family. I see my parents about, 3 hours a day, but they see their parents every day, and they're always helping them. And that people, even who go into the Peace Corps sometimes, they will go as a married couple, and they'll come out divorced because they spend way too much time with each other, and they can't deal with that, And really is, even when I was a kid, I was mostly wondering, I grew up on a ranch, and I mostly just kind of wandered around, and I watched TV, and I was mostly kind of alone for the most part. And it's not bad or anything, but the thing is that I would kind of just wander around by myself and just kind of let my imagination go. But over there, you're not isolated. You have, others around you, and that even as a kid there, you're taking care of other kids. If you're a 9-year-old, you might be holding a baby on your back. You might be helping your family. You might be, doing these things that that by a certain age, you're going to go out there and you're going to help with the family. You're going to go help with the farm. You're going to go help get pineapple or bananas or really whatever. And yeah, it's that there's more responsibility on the kid in that situation in Ghana. And over here, there's not so much even I really don't have that much responsibility at all. But their kids there, they have responsibility. And it's just it's just natural to them. And they're really all bringing each other up, while I have to bring myself up. And I have the help with my parents, I have the help with my teachers and such, but really it's sort of, over there, everyone's together. And that I believe as people, we desire community. We are attracted to others, and we want to be with others. I go to the frontier all the time, and even if I'm alone there, I still feel like I'm with people, and I want to be there with people. And, we look at community here, one, I feel like I'm really alone. It's really geometric. And, if you're in Ghana, you're just sitting alone in your shack, you didn't talk to anyone the day, someone's going to come up to you and it's like, why are you alone? Come on, let's go. And they'll tell you to go along with them, But over here, we desire community. We have Facebook, and it's like, hey world, here's me, here's my profile picture, and there you go. But you look at technology, and you look at Facebook, and you look at that, and there's not nearly as much connection. There's not nearly, it's virtual. You're not seeing the person's face. You're not listening to their voice. You're not really listening to them. And what are we really losing here by not being with not having this almost lack of community, I guess. We have our little groups, we have cross-country teams, and we'll have, school, we'll have these little groups, but what are we really losing, with Facebook and texting and talking on the phone? Over there, people are with each other, and they, it's interesting because they're moving to a Western society, and they have Facebook and they have cell phones now, and it's going to be interesting to see where Ghana goes in the next, next few years, I guess. But really, it's that their community is so much stronger. It doesn't require energy to talk to someone. You can go up to them and you can be their best friend in minutes. And friendship, if you look at friendship and if you look at love and you look at any of these really deep feelings that really do matter, they don't require energy. You're willing to do it, and you want to do it. You want to be with people, and it's easy to have a friendship that really does matter, a true friend, And that's the way I felt over there. I felt like these people were actually truly my friends. I feel like I can go to Ghana right now with nothing, and everyone would help me there. I feel like I could go to a house and they would feed me and they would help me, and I would have to return something for them too, But this guy one of the most amazing men I met there, his name was Bobo Isaac, and he, I talked with him in the middle of the night. It was like midnight when I was talking to him, and I just kind of saw him and I was just talking to him, and he was, there's kind of a communication barrier. Whenever he would understand something that I said, after a while he'd be like, oh, okay, and then, we talk about Palestine and Israel, and he's like, why are these people fighting? Why? What are they doing? And he's like, and he was so interesting, and really, he, the thing about him is that he said something. He said, Ghanaians, they're poor, but we're happy, And you look over here, we have a ton of money, but we don't have that much community. Over there, they don't have that much money, but they have a ton of community. And I guarantee you, they are way happier, Community, I think, is really, it really helps us in the way we see individuals and the way we understand them and such. But, I hung out in Ghana for 2 weeks, 15 days. And, there's some people that live there. My history teacher lived there for 5 years with the Peace Corps. And, this is what I experienced in 2 weeks, with just community and such. But the thing is, here, we live here and we experience what we perceive and what we see. And even now, I'm sort of back in with the society here. But, really, me talking here for, I don't know if I've gone over time or whatever, but me talking here is not going to express my feelings with all these people. And I'm missing out, the story about this kid and, all these people. You have all these experiences that I had, and I really can't communicate them to you because I'm just talking. These are just all words, and I won't be able to really get it across from you. You can understand the concepts maybe, but you won't really grasp that full experience of community that I had. And on the other end, I won't understand what you've had, what other people have had with community, and I won't understand what it's like to be a Ghanaian growing up in a society, really, within the Ghanaian culture. But the thing is how do you gain experience about community, and how do you grow your perspective? And you do that by traveling and by going out and by doing this. People at TED, they talk about these ideas. They have all these ideas, but, and I think TED is amazing. It really is, and all these people talking, I love watching it, but we have to take another step. We're taking these steps towards understanding the world and really gaining a perspective. And if you want to understand Ghanaian community, you go to Ghana, and you go and you figure out community, and I'm going to go there again someday, and I'm going to go talk to these old people that I was with, but you gain perspective about the world, and you gain a better grasp of who you are, and you make who you are by going out and by experiencing and by, really traveling and experiencing, but yeah, we are what we perceive, and perceive by going out in the world and really looking at it and, not trying to avoid our problems and such, but yeah, thank you.